everybody. Come on in, come on in. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Maggie and Lucy, where we believe the older women should teach the young. Just like the late, great Kevin Samuel said, Lucy and I come on here twice a week and we react to relationship content for those young women that are prioritizing marriage and family in their prime. Maybe you can learn from our combined 40 years of marriage experience. So, Lucy, please let us know, what are we reacting to today?
Hi, Maggie. Hi, everyone. So today is another one, Jed versus somebody else. I think that we've seen Jedediah Vila quite a few, I think twice, maybe. I don't remember. But this time is her against the boss babe mentality. So again, I sent it to you the second I started watching it. I stopped watching it. So we're going to react together to, you know, her reaction to the nonsense and see if we have anything in common with Jed or the boss babes, which I doubt.
I know, I doubt as well. All right, everybody. So, your two disclaimers again. Our perspective is for the ladies that want to prioritize marriage and family. If you want to do something else, if you're a proud boss babe, that's fine. Just do that over there. You are not going to be happy over here. The video is in the description. This one's a little bit longer, so we're going to get right into it. It's about 35 minutes, and I glanced at it. She's going to do 4 reactions. So I'm going to let each of the reactions play and let her say her piece, and then we will react. So sit back, relax, and let's see what we can learn together.
Casual first date, girl.
Yeah. It's so unattractive to see a woman think she's amazing and stunning and deserves your wallet on date one.
All the men are incel now. New York and LA, women are making more money than men.
Does she look happy to you? You will never find more miserable at their core women than you will find in big cities on the career paths.
This is a list of men I think you should stay away from if you're an educated girl in college.
Notice how she says, if you're a college-educated woman, if you're fancy like me. Most people who go to college, by the way, learn nothing. I said it. Hello. I was going to say howdy. I don't know. Am I feeling like a cowboy? Maybe. This is what Texas does to us, y'all. This is what it does. Welcome, everyone, to an incredible show. We are going to hop right in to an article and some amazing clips. But first, I'm going to tell you who today's show is brought to you by, and that is our friends. Less hobbies and time away from home now that we have a child. Am I wrong? All right, here we go. Let's read some of it. A father shared that since having their 1-year-old daughter, his partner, Rolo will love that word, partner, his partner continues to go on weekends away, whole weekend, and spontaneous outings with friends. He complains that the 34-year-old woman enjoys a variety of hobbies, mainly horse riding and dog breeding. This means that she'll go away for multi-night trips and travel overseas regularly. He notes that her time away isn't a source of income, and she also calls her activities hobbies. When the two of them first discussed having a child, they accepted their lives would have to change. I mentioned that she would have to make huge changes. She assured me she was on board with that and it wouldn't be a problem. Fast forward to now, he says his wife was on a day trip to take photos of dogs, he was guilted into letting her go on. He was guilted. We'll get back to that. The dad, who also has 2 kids from a previous marriage, aged 12 and 10, says that she sometimes takes off on weekends or holidays. Holidays. That he's with all 3 kids, which makes it hard to spend quality time with the older ones. So I guess what I'm looking for, now the guy is asking, the simp is asking us. So I guess what I'm looking for is, am I really being controlling? He wants to know. He can't figure it out. Or am I right? And this is just not acceptable behavior for a family. He asks in his post. I sometimes feel like we're just roommates who sleep together and have a child together rather than an actual family. Well, it gets better. The wife found the post and she decided to weigh in. She says, I'm a very involved mother. both to my daughter and to my stepkids as well. When our older kids are with us every other week, I almost always drive them to school in the morning. Oh, wow, honey, woo. And I would do anything for them. I don't want to give up my life just because I have a kid and a husband, and I'm not going to. Sounds like a peach. All right, so let's dig in a little bit. First of all, let's talk about this guy. Listen, men, if you have lost your masculinity to such an extent that you need to write an anonymous, I guess it wasn't anonymous because she found it, post on the internet asking if you're being too controlling because you don't want your wife to be going away on not just overnight trips, but repeated overnight trips overseas all the time without you, doing God knows what, then you have a problem. You need to look in the mirror first. You need to assess yourself. What went wrong that you can't figure out that you should have put your foot down, like, I don't know, years ago? Now you're in this predicament, and guess what? It's on you. Okay. Why do you need to ask the audience? Why do you need to ask other people? Have you lost all sense of self? What is wrong? How unattractive in a man, honestly, that you can't just say, no. How about this, honey? How about, hey, honey, that trip you have planned? No, that's not going to work for me. That's not going to work. Where are you going? You're taking more photos of dogs on weekends and weekends and okay. We'll talk about what she's doing. Come on, honey. This is not all about taking photos of dogs. So why were you guilted into letting her go? I would ask this guy. Why? Why were you guilted? Why did you allow yourself to be put in that position? Would she give you the speech? Did she say, well, I'm an independent woman. You're trying to take away my womanhood. You're possessive. You're controlling. You're exactly what my mom told me you might be. My best friend warned me because she dated a guy just like you. What did you get the speech? And you ate it like a little simpy. You ate it and swallowed it. And now you're like feeling guilty because you can't say to your wife when you have kids and everything, hey, listen, you can't be just sleeping out doing all this stuff as if you don't have kids because you do have kids. Grow up. Okay. So we'll address that first. Secondly, let me just say, listen, if a woman, you start a family, you got a wife, you got kids. What were the ages of the kids? I don't think they say the ages. They say the ages of the stepkids, but I don't see the ages of their actual kids. You have a wife and she's going away during holidays. Is everyone thinking what I'm thinking? Who's the boyfriend, honey? Who is the boyfriend? What do you have going on? I mean, if this were a guy doing this, if this role were flipped and you had a guy that was leaving his family all the time on holidays and constantly being away and overnight trips, weekends, holiday, you know what people would say? What does he have, a second family somewhere? That would be the talking point. Where is this guy going? And rightfully so. What are you doing all the time? She's got something else going on. Let's just say that goes beyond what is this dog breeding and horse riding. Who you on the horse with, honey? I don't think it's just you and the horse, if you know what I mean. I said it. Something's like nasty is going on here. Okay. And the guy knows it. That's why, he unfortunately is too much of a simp to just address her, but he knows something's not kosher in this situation. He says, I feel like roommates who have a child together. I guess they have one child rather than, yeah, honey, that's because that's what you are. You've turned into like the safety net. She knows she can go out and do whatever, have her whole life play out as if you don't exist. And then come home and you cuddle her and pay some bills. And the structure of a family, like the picture of a family remains. It's a pretty picture probably for, oh, look, we'll have this beautiful house and the family. And it's a pretty picture. Unfortunately, you're living a life of misery because the picture is not real. It's not real. Instead, your wife is off gallivanting, doing God knows what on weekends, over and over again, holidays. And the pretty picture that gets sold to whoever is garbage. And you're the probably the joke of the town. Also, can I just say this woman saying, I don't want to give up my life just because I have a kid and a husband. I'm not going to. Nasty. First of all, if you don't realize that your life is going to change, you should want your life to change. When you're single and out there and just doing you, there's a lot of pluses that come with that. And there's a lot of minuses. There's a lot of headache. There's a lot of heartache. When you get married, you should be welcoming that change. If you've grown up at all. Obviously, she hasn't. But if you've grown up, you welcome the change of now I'm accountable to someone. They're accountable to me. Now I have, responsibilities. I have a child. Like my life is different. It's a new phase of life. It's different than the stage before. Not her. So she's letting him know. You know what this says? I'm the boss. is what it says. She's letting him know, I'm the boss. You're not. Sit down and shut up. Tolerate it, or too bad. End of story. And you know why she's getting away with it? Because he takes it. Because he doesn't go up to her and say, listen, I've had enough. I'm supposed to be in a marriage. I would like to spend my holidays with my entire family, you included. If you don't think it's important for you to be here, A, who else are you spending the holiday with, honey? Because I know you're not sitting alone riding a horse. I'm not an idiot. And secondly, where's the fix for this? Because if this doesn't get fixed and we don't function like an actual, functional, traditional, healthy family, I'm out. I'm done, because this is abuse, right? This is a form of abuse in my view. Hey, I'm just going to do what I was doing, especially because she said before, I'm not going to do that. So she lied. She said, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. I have a very, intricate personal life. When I have a child and I get married, I know that's going to. So you didn't keep up your end of the bargain. You didn't. And listen, I'm not an advocate of divorce. I don't even believe in that stuff. I believe you work through hard times, but you work through hard times when both parties are willing to put in the work, when both parties are willing to say, this is what I'm doing wrong. This is what I'm doing wrong. Okay, let's fix it. It doesn't work like that if you've got one person who's out gallivanting and doesn't give a lick about you. Okay, I've had enough. Let me tell you guys, if you wind up in a situation like this, you better put your foot down. And listen, you better put your foot down before, because I guarantee you the reason that this got to this point was because this idiot guy put up with a bunch of bull for a really long time. And she realized that she had gotten herself a guy who could get walked all over. She had gotten herself a simpy guy who was going to do whatever she wanted and put up with whatever she wanted. She assessed that situation before. So if you act like a simp when you're dating, she's going to expect you to act like a simp when you're married. And if you do, she's going to walk all over you. You're going to be miserable. So put your foot down and act like a man from the start. My God, imagine let me write on Reddit and see what loser. Ooh, stop. People say I'm not tough on men. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She definitely has a boyfriend or something going on too. Honey, if you're out there, you watch, we'll get like a message. I'm the woman you spoke of. That's happened to me before. Don't laugh.
Okay, let's unpack that one, y'all. That was a lot. And I don't disagree. However, my approach is a bit different. I don't believe I have the space to talk to men, so I like to talk to the women. But I don't disagree with what Jed said. There's so much wrong with that whole scenario. And take this from someone who does like to travel, but believe me, there are rules in place, and I have a very short window, Lucy reminds me, where I can fly free. So this man, this husband, wrote to a publication, I'm having this concern in my marriage. Am I wrong? I cannot even imagine the kind of man that would ask other people their opinion about his relationship. So, ladies, here's the thing. People are who they are. And again, this is an example of a woman. She is married on paper, but she is not a wife. But I'm going to say she got exactly what she wanted. She wanted to be able to do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted, however and how often. And she found the man that would put up with that. I don't label, I don't call names. But ladies, one of the things that I've learned, I've shared with you all my story. I have to, and I'm going to say we as women, we have to respect our men for any relationship to work. If you have the type of relationship where you can do whatever you want, whenever you want it, and your man is not going to check you, you may think you're winning the battle. You will absolutely lose the war. You don't respect him. You're getting away with what you want to do. But the men that we really want, this would have never happened. Number one, he wouldn't have included anybody else in the decisions of his household. He would have told her one time in a row what's going to fly and what's not, and let her decide, do you want to be with me, or do you want to go everywhere, anywhere, and do whatever you want to do? And she would have had to figure it out because he meant what he said the first time. So, ladies, if you have found yourself on the receiving end of being quickly dismissed because you thought nobody can tell me anything, who are you to talk to me? There's only certain men that are going to put up with that, and believe me, that's not the man that you want. But again, you're free to do what you like. I'm just telling you, the men that we know, this would have never happened. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, that's an interesting situation. I'm wondering if the guy is like a stay-at-home dad, because I don't know if they shared that part of the relationship. Is she like the breadwinner? Was she the breadwinner when they first started? And then, he, by being the guy that doesn't work full time, he was in charge of taking care of the kids, and there was some kind of, I don't know, a different relationship when it started, and now that it's gone for so many years, she's gotten used to being, being who she is and doing what she wants, because the guy from the beginning probably had no say, and now it's the what is it uh, the cat is out of the bag, and or the genie's out of the bag and of the bottle, and he can't put it back in, because we don't know what kind of initial relationship it was. And now the guy probably who wants to have a say is going out into the public to ask for relationship advice. I'm also thinking about the kind of um, brainwashing that young men are getting through the media, or what if this guy has always been a single mom, kind of, he was raised with a single mom, the single mom talking to him about how feminism is just, you got to be the strong and independent woman, and he saw that in the woman that he married, and now he's like, I'm just trying to figure out how it all went wrong, because with a masculine man, you don't even go there at the beginning. It's either his way or he's out. So it's really interesting to hear how this man wants to um, get advice about a woman that, it's out of control. She's doing whatever she wants out there, and now it's too late. I don't think that he can get her back into the home doing whatever traditional type woman thing he wants her to do. So again, if he chose her, and if he asked her to marry him, knowing the situation, unfortunately, that's the life he chose.
Agreed. So again, ladies, not everything can be fixed, and I am going to plug our new course, well, our course that we're teaching in July, because I think it's very timely. We had it up at the beginning, relationship basics. Here's the deal, ladies. You have to know what the outcome is that you want of a relationship, and these are conversations that have to be said in the beginning. So you need to know what kind of role you want to play in the marriage, what kind of role you expect your future husband to play. You all have to have these conversations, because if you just try to figure it out on the fly, you're going to end up in this mess. And like Lucy said, it can't be fixed. So, class will be taught live in July. The link is in the description. Go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. It's only a 2-week course. You can go ahead and get started on the videos right now, and then we'll send you a calendar invite for when we teach it live. All right, let's go back in and listen to who else wanted to challenge her.
This is a list of men I think you should stay away from if you're an educated girl in college. Military men. Heavy on that. Aspiring blue-collar workers. Men who think college is a scam. Overly religious men. Did I mention the military?
Oh, man. Oh, man alive. Warning, beware sign. We should have a warning sign that pops up on the screen, like, one of those blinking, like, warning signs that tells you do not enter, bad news. Okay. Notice how she says if you're a college educated woman, if you're fancy, if you're fancy like me, you went to college. What'd you do, honey? Most people who go to college, by the way, learn nothing. Can I just say that? Unless you're in a specified trade, you learn nothing. You float around for 4 years. You drink, you behave badly. You get away with stuff that you're like, oh, college, I just bought myself 4 years to do nothing. You major in something you don't like that you never use ever. And you come out and you're lost in space, right? You're like, well, I don't know. Like, as if no direction. It's playtime. It's like a 4 year, well, I'll study some stuff. Liberal arts is such a joke. I know because I did it. It's an experience. Don't get me wrong. You can have a good time, but don't act like because you went to college, you're in some superiority bracket over somebody else, because you're not. You're not. In fact, you're not as skilled as somebody who actually learned how to do something in those 4 years. Maybe they didn't go to college, they didn't go to the frat party, they didn't take, women's studies, but they learned how to like fix cars, or they learned how to build homes, or they learned how to do something practical. They can do plumbing. So your toilet breaks and they come over and, $2,500 later, they're like, it's fixed. And you're like, oh, I don't know how to do anything, but I can read my women's studies book. I'm good at that. Duh, stupid. Okay. I can't stand people who say that. Listen, I have a master's degree. It's useless. It was useless when I got it. I only got it because I got it for free because I got a scholarship, but it was useless. I was not smarter post-master's degree than I was before. In fact, I think I got a little dumber, if I'm being honest. I had to get street smarts back because I had them lost in space for 5 years in college, floating around, dumb. All right. She goes after military men. She goes after aspiring blue collar workers. Ooh, what a superiority complex, honey, you have already. Nasty, unattractive. College is a scam, and the overly religious. So why these brackets of men? Why? Well, because these are men that you're going to have a hard time taking advantage of. Okay, military guys. Let's start with military guys. Now, why doesn't she like them? First of all, she's gonna say they don't have enough money. This is about money, right? This is about money, and this is about taking advantage. So they don't have enough money for her. Military. Oh, you wasting your time. You don't have enough money, right? She'd rather have a banker, or something like that, right? I'm sure of it. So also military guys are extremely disciplined. That's code for they're not taking your shit, right? They're not taking your shit. They have their priorities in order, military guys. They've been through war a lot of times. They've been through hard times. They've gone through, you've seen what they go through, these military guys, right? I'm no fan of the, military industrial complex at all. So I'm not cheering on the people that are above, taking care of the military and all. There's a lot of shenanigans going on. But the guys themselves that enroll are often very well intentioned, and they work their right, and they come out disciplined, and they're just not going to take your shit, right? So you don't like that, right? You want a pushover, right? You want a pushover banker. You want a pushover banker who will hand you the cash, keep working, not be home a lot. You have your own life. You have a nice fancy house, whatever. You know what you want. Scheming, nasty. Okay, so very insulting, by the way, what she's saying here. So, let's give it, but you want to dish it out, honey? Well, you got to learn how to take it. She doesn't like the aspiring blue collar workers. Why? Because again, she's associating that with not having enough money. Also, that's not always correct, because people would say blue collar is construction. Blue collar is plumbing. Some of these guys make a mint. Not only do they make a mint, but they have practical skills so that when something goes wrong in their house, they fix it. They don't have to call somebody in for $2,000, $5,000, $20,000. That roof's getting replaced by them. So, it's not always an accurate thing to say, oh, well, because they're aspiring. Maybe it's a guy who just really doesn't want to sit in an office like an idiot all day under blue lights, and he wants to learn how to use his hands. Maybe he's a real masculine guy. Notice how she's ripping on all the masculine men, military men, blue collar workers. Those are masculine guys, right? They're working with their hands. They're the people who actually do things in society that fix your roads, your bridges, your roofs, your plumbing, your country when it's broken. No appreciation. Nasty. Then she goes after the guys who are overly religious. Also, why? Why? Because a religious guy is going to want a traditional family. A religious guy is going to want you as a woman to be a traditional wife, and he will be a traditional husband, but you don't want that responsibility because you're too inculcated in I don't need a man, and you're too inculcated in your feminist garbage that you don't want a religious guy to say, hey, listen, you can't be going out on girls' night out half naked. No. You don't want a religious guy to say, you know what, I want a family, and I want you. Guess what, honey? You're the wife and I'm the husband, and you have duties as well. You don't want that check, right? And you also don't want the morality to have such a significant role in your house that your bad behavior gets called out consistently. Let's just say it. Okay. And the college is a scam because they associate that with guys who are battling the system, right? First of all, college is a scam. It is largely a scam. And I just went through all that with you. It's a scam unless you're going to specialized school to learn a specialized skill. Everyone else is just floating, right? They are. But she associates that with she wants the banker, the Wall Street guy, the degree. She wants the fancy. She wants the fancy. She's telling you off that. This is what this means. A woman who says, I don't want a military guy. I don't want a guy who says college is a scam. I don't want a religious guy. I don't want an aspiring blue collar worker. She's telling you all she cares about is your money and her ability to walk all over you. That's it. And those other brackets are more inclined to be handy, to put their foot down, to care about traditional values, to be disciplined, and to not take her shit. So that's what this clip is about. Honey, you've been called out. Listen, you made a silly video and now we had to do our job.
All right, Jedediah, tell us how you really feel. I see you guys coming in hot and heavy in the chat. Let me start by saying thank you. Thank you so much to see Irving with the 10 euros. He says, if a masculine man lets his girlfriend slash wife do whatever she wants, he's definitely checked out of that relationship or marriage. And thank you, Swab D, for the $5 saying God bless. We appreciate that. Thank you all so much. Oh, I have so many thoughts about this one, but let me try and make it concise. As someone that does come from academia, but let's be honest, you all. How many of you all that have gone to college, if you're honest with yourself, as soon as you got that piece of paper and you started that new job or that big job, how many of you knew exactly what you needed to do? Or did you find yourself still trying to figure it out, having more questions than answers? And I agree with her, college is an experience, and if you are going to go the college route, there should be some strategy behind it. We're not going to talk about that right now, but this one kind of hits home for me because my ex-husband comes from a military family, and you all know I'm a boy mom times two. And now that the boys are in high school, they live with their father, and the ego and the what I thought was important, watching boys grow up and see what really matters has really been humbling for me. Our oldest, you all know, he signed up for the Marines, and when he took the test and all of the branches started calling, he decided very quickly, Mom, I want to go to the Marines. And we were like, why, Marcus? What about this branch? What about that branch? And we respect all of them. At 17, he said, I want the hardest path. What do I say? I have nothing but respect for that. Ladies, ask yourself if there's a straight path or a crooked path with branches and thorns and all of the other struggles, which path are you going to volunteer for? And then secondly, with Marcus starting to drive now, Dad and I were talking about insurance and, all the things for the car. And I just made a comment and I said, I think it's time for me to get an oil change. And my ex-husband said, the boys know how to change oil. And I was like, what? I forgot. I married a grease monkey. Changes his own oil, changes his brake pads, all that stuff. I go to the dealership, just let him handle it. He has taught our sons how to change oil, how to do all these things that I can't do. And he told me, he said, yeah, you should see Alex, our 15-year-old, take apart a wall outlet and put it back together. Electrical work. At 15 and 17, I was just so moved with pride because both of them are going the military path and they're graduating high school with life skills that are valuable that their father taught them that I can't do. So for all of our big degrees, and I've got an MBA and all that, that's great. But ladies, at the end of the day, you want a man who can actually get some stuff done. And I'm very, very proud. And I think this young woman, who's probably college is the biggest accomplishment she's had so far, if she's even graduated, she's going to have her own humbling life lessons. And I'd love to see what she thinks when she gets our age. What would you add, Lucy?
It is astonishing how arrogant she seems just by thinking that just because you went to college, you are over those men that work with their hands and do things to build the world. So again, it's that young lady has probably only been in that bubble of just being college with those same women in a sisterhood or sorority. They all talk about all these men that they don't want to deal with because quite honestly they probably have never had a chance to be with a man that does things, that builds things. One of the most beautiful things is to see your husband come home and tell you, you don't need to take the car anywhere. I will change the oil. I will do what I will do. I think every time I think my car gives you like a message, service A1 is required, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, service A1 is only the change of oil and other things. And he does that. And I think that as a woman that would never get under a car or do that oil thing, to me it's just wonderful to have a man take care of those things and know how to do it, because later on, because I'm always thinking about, if this world comes to an end and we have like the zombie apocalypse, those are the men that are going to be out there saving us and hunting for us, because they want us safe at home. So again, it's so sad that they don't see it. And those are the women that are going to be crying at 40 years old, thinking, where did all those good men go? Why can't I find a good man? Because you were talking about them like a nutcase, showing it to the world, because you have, very little life experience and you don't know how the world really works. And this is here on social media for the rest of your life. This is going to hit you, when you least expect it. Maybe you have a guy that is, maybe you went to school, but then he decided to do more of a practical thing, to get an electrical degree or whatever. You meet him and you fall in love with him, and the guy is almost smitten with you. And all of a sudden, a friend says, "Hey, did you know this girl did something like 10 years ago, and this is what she said?" And then that would be the humbling time for her, because the guy's going to say, "Oh, that's how she felt that way. Does she still feel that way? You know what? We're done." So again, she has no idea how this could come back and haunt her 5, 10 years from now.
Such a good point. Let me say thank you so much to Sunkissed for the 4.99, and thank you for the blessings. And yes, Troop on Instagram. The link is in the description. This is Jedediah. Lucy brought up something that just blew past me, y'all. And we're going to go into the next clip because this is a longer one. But just think how many swaths of men that this woman has now disqualified herself from. Men that are religious, men that are military, men that are blue collar, men that think college is a scam. And I can't remember the other one. And like Lucy said, what if you meet the banker, but like my man, his dad was blue collar and he comes from humble beginnings. Ladies, this college thing is new. Mr. President will tell you back in the past, the only people that were formally educated were the ones that were going to be professors. So don't let these pieces of paper on the wall fool you as to the value of what a man is and what men and women have been for hundreds and thousands of years, useful to each other. And now the internet is forever. So good luck, lady. I hope the man that you find doesn't know anybody or have anybody in his family that's in those categories, because you're going to find yourself alone. Let's go back in.
I feel like there's an epidemic going on right now where smart, strong, attractive women are just like being observed and watched by all of these like weak, insecure, essentially incel men. And like all the men are incel now. Like it's not just the incels, it's not just the broke, fucking creepy weirdos. It's literally everyone. Like men just can't compete because women are out here able to do so much. Like we've never been more powerful in our entire lives, and we fucking know it. And they can't keep, like shitting on us anymore, because it's like, here we are in big cities, women are now making more money than men. Still overall men are making more, but in New York and LA, women are making more money than men. They're living bigger, better lives than men. They're better entrepreneurs. They're making better business decisions. Like, not to compare the sexes, because whatever, like two different skill sets, two different whatevers, but like women's skills are being utilized and it's fucking crazy. And like, I don't know, man. I'm just like, women are just being watched. They're just being watched from like the sidelines. Like, men fucking don't know what to do. I don't think I've personally met any men that are actually doing what they need to do, that are like stepping into like the true divine masculine goddamn energy. I've met men that seem like that, and then it turns out that they are insecure little fucking hoe bags. I've met men who have these really amazing, incredible careers, and then still insecurity is coming for them when they have to step into their divine. Like, I just don't understand. I'm just genuinely confused. Like, yes, I have the incels fucking up in my Instagram stories, like in the Instagram stories every day, but I also have the divine, masculine, confident, fucking whatever men, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Liking the Instagram story. Like, what is going on? Seriously, step the fuck up, because you're not. You're looking like the fucking incels.
Okay, we're good. We're good on her. So she talks about New York and LA like it's cool. New York and LA is shit. New York and LA is shit. I know because I lived in New York for almost my entire life and I went back and forth to LA a bunch because I worked in television. It's shit, it's garbage, it's trash. Most of what you see there is crap. The rest of the country is living, not the big cities. Don't be like, oh, but Chicago. Yeah, that's crap too. Most of the country is not living like people live in these cities. She's using that as an example. Like, look at these women excelling in their careers and running the show in New York and LA. You will never find more miserable at their core women than you will find in the big cities on the career paths. New York and LA is saturated. Women, miserable, career driven women who drink too much, who take Xanax every time something happens in their life because they can't handle anything, who are crabby, who are mean, who are masculine, go into their meetings with their masculine energy all the time, and who have autoimmune issues, who are just broken down on the inside by virtue of being in New York and LA and being on their Power Girl trip. So let's just correct that right there. Does she look happy to you? Does a happy girl really make a video like that? I'm just asking. I'll be objective about it because the answer is no. So she's talking about how, oh, women are owning it. Really? Are they happy? Forget about how much money they make. Forget about the fact that they got a promotion. Are they happy? Are they happy? The answer is no. The answer is no. She also, the key part of the video for me is her talking about these men that she views as they don't step into their masculine. I think she wanted to say divine. Honey, what crap are you reading? But they don't step into their masculine energy. They're not doing what they should be doing in her view as a man, right? She even says, oh yeah, they're not stepping into their true masculine energy. So I would ask her, are you stepping into your true feminine energy? You're acting like a guy. Why would a man be inspired to step into his true masculine energy around a woman who doesn't step into her true feminine energy? He doesn't need to step into his masculine energy to walk through life beside a woman who's turned into a man, basically, figuratively, and is full of masculine energy. That's not what he wants. That doesn't inspire masculine energy. He doesn't want that. He's not into you. And she says all of these women, these attractive, successful women are just being watched. Yeah, honey, you're being watched because the masculine guys don't want you. They don't want you because you've lost your femininity. They're not attracted to you. They're not attracted to your masculine energy. They're not attracted to your career climb. They're not attracted to your masculine internal posture and your I'm a boss babe energy. They don't want it. So they're watching from the sidelines like, she's cute, but I'm not signing up for that. I'm good. I don't want that. And they're watching from the sidelines in these cities because that's where these boss babes live. They do the career climbs in New York and LA and Chicago. They're not doing that in rural towns in Kentucky, They're not, for the most part. This is a city vibe. She reeks of a city boss babe. So why would a masculine guy want to hook up with that? And by hook up, I mean put a ring on it. I don't mean just a one night, sure, whatever, cute girl, whatever. But that, beyond that, no. I also, very important note here for you. Do you see what she says about, first of all, the incels is a whole discussion. I'm not even going to go there. But she says that she's like, why are these supposedly successful guys liking my Instagram stories? She's telling you what to do. Guys, you listening? Stop paying her attention. If you sit and you're scrolling through Instagram and liking her stories, she automatically assumes you're a loser who doesn't have time to be doing anything else and an idiot. You've been categorized. So guys, when you do that, you're categorized because a real masculine guy is not going to be sitting scrolling through the Instagram like waiting for her to respond. No, They're not going to do that. They don't have time to do that. They're too busy making money. They're too busy getting attention of their own. They're too busy living their lives. They don't have time to give a lick about your Instagram. So she's telling you, yeah, you know what? If I see that, ew, she's trying to, ew, stop drooling over these girls. Stop giving them that kind of attention. It's being abused. They're swallowing it. They're taking advantage, and they're sizing you up as a loser for doing it. You've already been categorized. You hear it? In her own words, in her own mouth. Smart, attractive women and men who can't compete. It's like so nauseating. I don't know what masculine guy. I can't even imagine a masculine man being able to sit and listen to that video, let alone sit beside you on a date and listen. What are you going to talk about? Your job and your career climb? Who gives a you know what? That's not what they're interested in. They're watching you from the sidelines because they don't want you.
Okay, so let's all take a deep breath and cleanse the profanity. Yeah, there's so much. It was just so bad. But you know what's fascinating to me? I saw T. Coop on Instagram is saying he wanted us to react to Tracy Ellis Ross and this toxic masculinity. That reminds me of something that I thought of with this woman and women that go to the internet to complain. Did you hear this woman? She started off saying it with her chest. All men, all men are incels. Okay, if that's not a broad brush. So she's venting and complaining about all of these men and putting them down. So if the men are so terrible, why are you complaining? You won. Why do you still want one? Why are you here calling it toxic masculinity or saying they're incels on one side, but then basically taking time out of your day to say, I want one and I don't have one? I love what this last super chat, thank you so much, C. Irving says, I don't believe there is a shortage of masculine men. Ladies, there are not. Here's the thing. The men that you want, you don't have access to. You will never have access to. They see you a mile away. You have to understand the nature of men. Men observe before they approach, and they wait for consistency. So when they see you doing this and putting it out on the interwebs for everyone to see, you're going to go in one of two categories. Category one is the nice one. They just leave you alone to let you figure it out. Category two, the men that like your stories and give you a little bit of attention, it's for a short time and one purpose only. I'll let you figure that out. So again, ladies, the caliber of men that we want, they move in silence. So you need to show up consistently as the type of woman that they would want to keep around, or you will just be deprioritized and then be left to wonder, why don't I have one of those masculine men? What would you add, Lucy?
Well, she did get one thing right, that men do watch. They watch for that behavior that sometimes it's even amusing for masculine men just to watch those women do those silly things. It's like you are confirming what they already thought about you a long time ago. So again, it's interesting to see that she's laying down. She's got that brick wall behind her. It's like, do you do this when you're bored? Who does that? And because you're bored, you are trying to cope with the fact that no masculine man is even looking at you because they know that behavior. They don't want to even deal with that because you know what? Masculine men, because they're always, fighting dragons and going out there getting the thing, the last thing they want is a mouthy one like you even near them, because it's either a competition, there's always going to be an issue. I don't think that they even want you to have fun with you because they see you as a liability. Trust me. So men are practical. They see that type of woman, they're like, I don't want her near my circle ever.
That is so true. We see you all coming in through the chat, and Lucy's right. So, ladies, choose wisely. It hurts me to say, but the men that we have access to will say, no, Maggie, let them keep going. It's entertainment for us. We're here with our popcorn. We love watching them crash out. You may think Lucy and I are harsh. We are trying to help you because the men that you want are watching and laughing. Let's go back in.
I canceled our date as he was coming because of what he said. He suggested a restaurant I didn't like. It wasn't bad, but it's not a first date restaurant. For me, the first date is supposed to be really good because I don't know your potential yet. I don't know if you're good enough yet. I have to have a really good time. And then if I like it and then I like you, then I'll see. So I sent him another restaurant and I told him, how about this one instead? And then he was like, no. He was like, this is a third date, maybe occasion restaurant. You know, it's not a first date thing. Do I look like a small budget, casual first date girl?
Yeah.
Like, how confused are you? How confused are you? Like, everything about me, my profile, whatever, everything you can see, you can tell anybody, nobody makes that mistake. You slide in my DM. You do it because you know.
Okay, let's stop. You stop. You slide into my DMs. You do it because you know that I'm gonna just take your money. Ooh. The ego is no, you could just vomit, right? I mean, can you like again, very pretty girl, exotic looking, went from like this to it was just a slow decline. It's so unattractive to see a woman think she's amazing and stunning and deserves your wallet on date one. And they're all doing it. I'm going to show these clips and I'm going to show them and show them and show them because then you'll have, that idiot feminist to be like, this is a caricature. And I'm going to be like, really? Let's watch the montage of hundreds of women that we've shown that have TikTok accounts, regular women that are just posting from their accounts saying exactly what I'm saying they're saying. Hear it in their own words. Nasty. So again, this is like the woman who needed the castle, right? She needs the castle. She wants that first date, and good on the guy, by the way. Do you see how he handled it? She sent this restaurant. He had sent a restaurant and she was like, oh no, that's not worth it to me. You know why? Because she needs the fancy restaurant because if she goes and she doesn't really like him, she's like, oh, at least I got all dressed up. Maybe I met somebody else there. Oh, maybe there was another guy on the way to the bathroom who paid me attention. Oh, yeah, maybe there was, a delicious meal, exquisite. I had an experience that had nothing to do with him, by the way. He's like, there for maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. He's extra, but the experience is about me. So she sends him the restaurant. He's like, no, this is more of a third date restaurant. Good on him. Ooh, she must have been burning from the inside out, right? Because he was like, no, I'm not. I don't. The message was, I don't know you. If I know you and we're getting along, great, I'll spend my money, but I'm not taking you on, a third date restaurant on the first date just because you look it on TikTok. And she was like, oh, have you seen my TikTok? Yeah, honey, he did. He doesn't care. You want to go out with him? You're going to go to that restaurant. You don't want to go to that restaurant? Go out with somebody else. That's how you have to play it, guys. That's how because the egos have ballooned. There were pretty girls, when I was younger, there were always pretty girls everywhere, right? Pretty girls, pretty girls, pretty girls. Fine, but it wasn't this like sense of like these girls they're getting so much attention online that it's like that their heads have just enlarged to a point where you're like, it's crazy. So I pointed that out because I wanted you to see the guy who checked her, right? And was like, oh, okay, you know what? Oh, maybe this restaurant. Sends her another one. Sends her another restaurant. Say, oh man, what about that? No, that's not good enough either. Well, you know what, honey? Then go out with somebody else. Bye. That's what you should do. And then you know what? She'll be like, did I just get dumped before the date? Me? Yeah, you, honey. You're too picky. You're cute, but you know what? Cuteness only goes so far.
I absolutely love this one. All right, so let's unpack again the ego, the audacity of this woman to think she's the one who is going to control how this man courts her. It makes me smile because I believe my first date with Mr. President was a Chick-fil-A, and I think our second date was at Blimpie, and I was happy to be there. Unfortunately, lady, and now, if you know, he does very well. But it's sad to me, and I don't know how many women realize that they are hamstringing themselves by expecting long-term treatment from the beginning. Like Mr. President will tell you, you could be the best woman in the world. How do I know that? We haven't earned it, ladies. And just because you hung a shingle, you basically advertised for the world to see. She said, "You know what I am because you slid into my DMs." You could be an AI generated woman. Nothing is real anymore until men can observe that consistency over time. And I'm just going to tell you, ladies, I really want what we teach you to be helpful, especially those of us, or those of you who think you're going to get that princess treatment from day one, big weddings and all that. I was asking my man, I was like, what do you think about all that? He said, no, it's better to have something small in the beginning and then a 10-year or 20-year anniversary party on the scale of the weddings that we do now. So the men look at it completely differently. They don't believe we should be having all of this money spent and all this pomp and circumstance, and we're just starting out. There's no guarantee. So help yourselves, ladies, by really looking at, is this man the caliber of man? Is his character what I want to hitch my wagon to? Because that's what he's looking at with you. And then believe me, all of those other things will come. But if you insist on that from the beginning because you look cute, and like Jedediah said, the cuteness wears off. And how many other cute girls are out here? How many other pretty girls are out here? How many other beautiful girls are out here? Believe me, that's not what you want to compete on. All right. You need to, like my man will say, blow him away by how you show up consistently. What would you add, Lucy?
And there's nothing more unattractive about someone being so arrogant, thinking that you're so beautiful that men are going to do whatever you want them to do on a first date, wanting to already control the situation. It's just so odd to see this behavior. And again, I'm wondering if it's just a small percentage of these women that get on social media that think that they are more than what they are, because we go out there in the real world and we do see beautiful young ladies, uh, and in my head, when I'm walking around my husband, I look at these young ladies and I'm like thinking, do they know that they're beautiful? Do they see themselves, and do they and and do they show that in their social media? Again, for me, there's nothing more beautiful than a young lady that's beautiful that doesn't know she is. So again, she sees all of these things coming to her because she thinks it's her femininity, and it's all that, the world is great. But it also has to do with her not being arrogant about thinking that she deserves all that stuff, because nobody deserves anything. You work, for things that come to you. So this young lady in social media saying that the guy somehow appeared in her DMs. I mean, I'm sure that she probably has a lot of these men going into their DMs, but are they real men? I mean, do you know that these are real people? And it's just so odd. The modern way of doing things, it's awful, and young women are going to suffer in the end because they don't realize that all that nuttiness, you're young, you don't know what impact those things that you say to the world will have later on. Um, she was a beautiful, beautiful girl, but that beauty was gone when she thought that she deserved more than what our first date was. I remember my husband and I, on our first date, we went to lunch to this cafe, and I never expected anything else. It was not an expectation of, I go on a first date and this guy has to take me to the best place, because that's not what it is. It's about getting to know each other. And I wouldn't want to put him in a situation where he takes me to a place where he's spending a lot of money, because what if we don't like each other at the end? So again, it's just that kind of thinking is just so odd to me.
So true, ladies, young ladies especially. Unfortunately, I know several women who have used the dating experience instead of trying to build connection with a man, used it to collect trips and trinkets, and that's all they have. When they get our age, they have nothing significant to speak of. And if you don't believe me, Ask the older women in your family or that you know that are single. All of the ones that I have talked to have a regret. The one that got away, the one that they shoot off, the one that they didn't think was going to turn into anything, and now they're seeing him happy with somebody else and thinking that should have been me. You get one opportunity to get this right. Do not mess it up. Let's go back in for the last one.
I know people complain all the time about dating in New York City, but as someone who just moved here not even 3 months ago, the biggest difference that I have noticed when it comes to living in Florida, being single in your 30s versus living in New York, being single in your 30s is in Florida, people were looking at me like there was something wrong with me. They're like, oh, we'll find you someone. Like, oh, why are you still single? And in New York, it's celebrated and it's amazing and we love it. And people were like, yeah, you should be single in your 30s. And I'm like, you know what? I agree. Thank you so much.
Okay. Pretty girl. Dumb. Sorry to say. So, yeah, there's a reason that, again, we're going to talk about liberal versus conservative for a second. New York is these liberal bastions, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, liberal, right? And you go to Miami in Florida, you'll hear a different story. It's about the delay. Of course, they're celebrating you being single in your 30s because they're also celebrating the boss babe. They're also celebrating, oh, you don't need a man. They're also celebrating, don't worry about having kids. Do that later, if at all. It's such a headache. They're also celebrating, you having a glass of wine every day. They're also celebrating a career climb. They're celebrating all the things that essentially sink society, that make women unhappy, that make men unhappy, that make a union of man and woman less likely to happen. It's the rot of the liberal city. This is what it looks like, right? So of course you're going to go to New York and hear a different story. You go to Florida, probably more in the rural areas, and you're going to hear people saying, oh, you're in your 30s? Okay, it's time to grow up, right? Time to meet a guy, time to settle down. Yeah, it's time to grow up because people used to grow up. In the cities, you've got, like I've said, you've got the 38, 40-year-olds drunk at the bar, crow's feet and all, looking like they just stumbled out of a frat party. It's disturbing. It's weird. It's creepy. You go to places that are more in the country and other places, and you see those same age brackets adulting, right? They've got kids, they've got families, they own homes. You've got your average, 40 plus year olds in Manhattan living in studio apartments, living in a box they can barely pay for, going out drinking Thursday to Sunday, acting like they never got out of school. They never got out of college. So, and this woman, I will say that for women moving from more conservative areas to more liberal areas, particularly the liberal cities, is the demise of women because they're saturated with the career climb and they're saturated with messaging of delay, 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 delay. The fertility crisis is real. We've talked about that. This is where it happens, right? And you're applauded, right? You're 35 years old, acting like an 18-year-old that's in college, and you're applauded for that in places like New York City. When you go to other places like, say, rural Florida, which I'm sure, I don't know where she's from in Florida, but you're going to have people saying, oh, you don't look so good, honey. Why don't you, let's start to get our act together. You want me to introduce you to a nice man? Because that's what you should be doing, right? You're in your 30s acting like it's weird. And I know because I was in New York City at that age and I got caught up in I remember being 32 and being looking around me and being I can't, what is going on? Because you get caught up and you forget that nobody adults in these places. I've got friends that are 50 and I'm you went to karaoke for 7 hours on a Tuesday? Really? I'm not saying you can't have fun, but is there a point at which the adulting happens and some pieces of your life fit together in an adult fashion? Liberal cities are a wasteland, particularly for young women who get caught up in it and you see their whole lives fall apart. Very common. Very, very common. All right. That's all for today. Thank you for joining me. Say hi to the plants. Don't forget.
All right, everybody. Love Jedediah. She definitely tells it like it is. She's right. Ladies, you have to decide. And again, the late great Kevin Samuels, I was listening to a stream last night. He said this multiple times. Fortunately or unfortunately for us ladies, we do not have the benefit of time. Men are blessed with time. They can figure it out at 40 and still live a wonderful life. We cannot. If you want marriage and family, and that's all that we talk to here. If you want to do your own thing, go over there and do it. Have fun. But if you want a meaningful relationship, you need to decide early and be very consistent and say out of your mouth, this is what I would like, and act accordingly. I agree with her. The last stream that Lucy and I did with these 30-year-old women acting like fools, messing up their friend's date, going to a bar and sending drinks. This is unheard of. This is completely immature behavior, and there is no sense of urgency. I am like those older women. When I see a young woman that's attractive and single, and I start asking questions, it's normal and natural, especially those of us who grew up in small towns or those of us that are immigrants that are coming from more humble beginnings. We know that we are better together and we need each other. Life is not meant to live alone. If you have your big six-figure job, that's great, and you can pay for everything, that's great. But at the end of the day, you are going to want somebody to care if you ate today. Are you sleeping well? Are you feeling okay? If not, that's totally fine. But yes, ladies, I'll say this: after Lucy and I had our finishing school graduation, more than one woman reached out to me to tell me how just observing me with Mr. President really impacted them. So I'm going to say, if you are coming up in an environment where people are applauding, do your own thing, be single, you don't need a man, you are behind. Because if you ever think you're going to want a real relationship and you are not actively developing relationship skills as a young woman, you're going to make it incredibly hard, if not impossible, for yourself. And one of the women that used to be in our group asked Mr. President for his advice. And the thing that he told her, you need to act your age. You are too old to be carrying around like some bobblehead. All right. So life catches up with all of us. You have to decide if you want to be ready. I was married at 25 and I felt like I literally beat the buzzer because I didn't want to be closer to 30 and unmarried. And now women are acting like 35 is the new 18. What would you add, Lucy?
I would say that these young ladies need to watch videos, because they're in social media about the leftover women in China. I mean, there's a huge crisis in China, and I think even in South Korea about these educated women that thought they had it all, and now they're in their, mid 30s looking for that man, and the men don't want that. The men want women that are younger because they're going to be more able to carry on, a pregnancy and do the family thing. That these jaded women that they are on TV, on YouTube when they are interviewed, and they're still asking for a man that can give them the world without realizing that their time has passed. And now again, they've been given that title of leftover women, and we are probably going to find that here in the United States. Isn't it by 2030, 45% of the young women are not going to be in any kind of relationship or married at all? That's a scary thing. So it's interesting. Yes, there are those outliers, that will allow you to maybe marry at a later age, but it's because probably you're very feminine. You show you have had probably to work a little harder than the 20-year-olds. So again, that's a choice that you're going to have to make, and it's and life is not getting any easier in the modern world.
Absolutely. Well, I love that you all are so active in the chat. Thank you all so much. And yes, Lucy is right. And I am not happy to say this, but ladies, it will get worse before it gets better. And take it from Sarah, who's here. She said, I'm married at 36, 3 months before my 37th birthday. I wish I found my husband sooner. So, ladies, you don't have to listen to us. Look at the women in your environment, in your family, and ask them if they could do it all over. What would they do differently? All right. These leftover women in China, now they're our age and older. And they thought being a boss babe for a decade or 2 decades is where it was at. Now that the first wave is entering like nursing homes because they're aging out. And it is very sad because they have no family to speak of to care for them. All right, so let's say thank you to everybody, but let me shout out everybody who was so generous with us today. So thank you so much, C. Irving, for the €10. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Suave D, coming in with the $5. Thank you, Sunkissed, for the $4.99. Thank you, C. Irving, again with the €5. We appreciate you all so much. And we're here twice a week. We will be back Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for more traditional relationship advice. Lucy, what would you say to close us out?
Saran says, I was misguided. I found Kevin and his advice at 33. His content really helped me. That's amazing that, yeah, she listened. But that's the thing. There are those that will listen to that advice and will get on, the program. And there are those that are going to dismiss it or say, yeah, that doesn't apply to me. And they are going to be the ones crying when they're 40, 45, 50 about the opportunities that they missed when they were younger.
That just touches my heart. Thank you. And thank you, Sharon, for saying that. It takes a lot to say that I didn't get it right in the beginning, but I turned it around at 33. It's not impossible, it's just harder. So that's why we are pleading with the women who want relationships. You need to move like your hair is on fire. All right. So we'll go ahead and let you all go. Again, go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com if you all are interested. If you don't know, if your mother didn't teach you how to be a good woman to a good man, and you're out here just trying to figure it out, our relationship basics course is 2 weeks. You can go ahead and enroll. We'll send you the calendar invite. We'll teach it live in June, and we will see you all Wednesday night with another reaction video. So until then, we will say adios.
Yeah.